So, what we're going to do is get started with part one, okay? Part one is the awareness of external influences. Now, for episode one, this is more so like wake or programmed. This is going to be about the hidden influence of the world around you, all right? So, welcome to Awake or Programmed. Today, we begin a journey that may challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself and the world around you. From the moment we are born, we are immersed in a sea of information, stories, and influences that shape how we think, feel, and act. The question is, how much of what we believe, how much of what we consider ourselves is truly ours, and how much has programmed by society, by the media, by governments, and even by well meaning family and educators. Imagine a small child watching television, absorbing stories of fear, scarcity, and conflict without context. Excuse me. Imagine that same child growing up with the belief that the world is dangerous, that survival is scarce, and that happiness comes from acquiring or controlling. These seeds of thoughts, once planted, grow into unconscious patterns that guide almost every decision we make. Most of us live in a world where our choices, our reactions, even our emotions are influenced by unseen forces shaping our perceptions of reality. So today, we'll explore the hidden programming that affect your daily, often without your awareness. We'll talk about the role of mass media, governments, and social institutions, and even aspects of religion in shaping belief systems that can either empower or enslave. And most importantly, we'll discuss how to reclaim your mind and energy and awaken to a reality that is aligned with your true self. All right, so let's get started on the architecture of belief. Beliefs are like invisible scaffolds of your mind, okay? They provide structure for your reality, determining what you notice, how you interpret events, and even how your body responds. Beliefs can empower, giving you confidence, resilience, and clarity, or they can limit, keeping you stuck in fear, scarcity, and distraction. The first step to freedom is awareness. Awareness is noticing these structures, asking which ones truly belong to you and which ones were inherited, conditioned, or imposed. Consider excuse me, consider the media, television, radio, newspapers, and now social media are designed not just to inform, but to shape your attention and influence your emotional responses. Studies show that more attention you give to fear based content, the more your brain amplifies anxiety and vigilance. Fear becomes normalized. Your attention becomes a form of currency feeding the very systems that control perception. And the pattern repeats daily, reinforcing programming that often goes unnoticed. Now, let's touch a little bit on religious and cultural controlling, okay? Religion and culture are powerful vehicles for transmitting belief. They can profound truths, connection to creation, moral guidance, but when fear is added, they can also teach obedience, guilt, and separation. Much of what is presented as morality is actually a system for social controlling, ensuring conformity to certain norms while discouraging questioning. This doesn't mean religion is inherently negative. It means that understanding the difference between authentic spiritual insight and control mechanisms is critical for your awakenings. Okay? Now, what about culture? The stories we inherit from fairy tales to history books shape expectations and behaviors. Who decides which stories are told, which narratives are repeated? The repeated stories are not neutral. They are chosen to maintain particular patterns of thought and social structure. Questioning these inherited narratives is not rebellion, is an act of reforming your mind. Now, reclaiming your story. Reclaiming your story starts with observation. Notice your automatic thoughts, your emotional triggers, your habitual reactions. Ask yourself, which of these reactions are truly mine? Which are learned, conditioned, or influenced by stories I absorbed without realizing? Once you observe these patterns, you can start consciously to rewrite them. Speaking your truth aloud, journaling, meditating, and testing new ways of thinking all help create new neutral pathways, new beliefs that serve your highest self. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys like a practical challenge, a 7 day awareness practice. Okay, for the next 7 days, why don't you guys try observing three beliefs that feel automatic? Journal the source of each belief. Test one new perspective each day to see how it affects perception. Okay, you guys try this for 7 days and then let me know in the comments, what happens, or you know, if you would like to share, let me know so that way you can let me know if it's helping you in any way or if it's assisting you on your newfound spiritual awakening. Okay, so today, we've begun the journey of uncovering the hidden influences in your life. Awareness is the first step toward freedom, and it's also the first step toward reclaiming the original design of your mind and spirit. Tomorrow, in episode 2, we'll explore the architecture of belief, how stories shape reality, divining, divining even deeper into the mechanisms that define how we see the world. Until then, observe, question, and remember that your mind is the most powerful tool and your attention is currency. Okay? So let's just kind of reflect on that a little bit. So basically, to sum it all up, the thing that people fail to realize is that nothing that you truly believe is your own. I know that sounds crazy, but let me kind of see how I can put this, how I can explain this in a good way. A mass majority of the time, the adults that we become are not even our authentic selves. A lot of it is generational influence, you know, um, DNA coding, genetics, things like that. But a mass majority of it, honestly, is really just more so influence, you know? Okay, sorry, guys. Now, what I was basically saying is that a lot of who you think you are is actually influenced or learned behaviors, okay? And to find who you truly are, it takes work and it takes getting to the root of why you are the way you are. Because why you are the way you are and who you are two completely different aspects. And the more you dive in deep, the more you'll understand that. I'll give you guys a couple examples before we go ahead and end this one. So basically, let's take children for example. Children come into this world and they don't know anything. They're completely like a blank slate almost. They learn based off of observation. So whatever their environment consists of, whatever they're exposed to, it plays a significant role in how they grow into their adolescence and into their teens and then later into their adults. Okay? And they're like sponges pretty much. Like they just absorb everything around them, information. And this is the thing that, you know, me being a parent, I had to learn and it really helped me is to understand that sometimes the the way that we how can I put this? Like, okay, I'll give you an example. My kids. I used to have this thing called like a no consequence comment every night because we would have like a reflective you know just little meeting or whatever you want to call it before they went to bed, and we kind of like just reflect on the day, what happened, what they liked, what they didn't like, um and we'd individually go around and they would just state like something that they didn't like that either their siblings did, but then they would offer like a kind of suggestion as to what would kind of um, eliminate that issue, you know. And so even that came for me. Each one of them will come to me, and the one thing that I remember the most that always sticks out to me, and I'll never forget it, and it helped me so much is when I had a big aha moment as a parent. Okay, and so what happened was one of my daughters, she told me basically, well, mom, I hate that you're a liar. And mind you, this is no consequence comments. Okay, so and it kind of made me feel some type of way. I was like, wait, what? Hold on, I'm not a liar, you know. And so basically, I would ask her kind of like, explain to me, what that means. And she's like, well, you always say you're going to do something and you don't do it. You always say you're going to get me something and you don't get it. And so that makes you a liar. And I'm like, and I kind of step back and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. Now, mind you, as a parent, in my head, I'm kind of reflecting on, times I did that. And I was just thinking, like, well, it's not that I didn't want to get you what I said I was going to get. I just either one couldn't afford it or didn't have time or whatever the case may be. But I didn't think anything of it. I just figured, they'd understand. But what that situation kind of brought me um, to understand is that kids don't think like adults at all. They don't have the logic, the understanding, or even the comprehension as we do. And that's when I came to the realization that kids are literally like black and white. So to her, me saying, hey, I'm going to take you guys to the park and then not doing it, even if I meant well, and me saying, hey, I'm going to get you that baby doll or that toy and then not doing it, to her it was like, okay, then you lied. And in reality, that's the truth. Like that it would be considered a lie in reality. Once you take away all the, emotion or the circumstance and everything, when it's just black and white, that is a lie. So I thought about that for a little bit and I told her, okay, you know what? Well, I'll work on that. I'll try my best to, not lie and things like that. But it really stuck with me. And the reason why it stuck with me is because I just could not help but think like, what if I never had this, reflective time with them? I may have never came to that realization that she thinks that I'm a liar. And then she could have internalized it, festered it, and then went on with her day, her weeks, her months, her years with the thought that my parents are a liar. You know what I mean? I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. So, and that's just exactly how it is with kids. When it comes to kids, they do not understand our logic. And then a mass majority of kids, when it comes down to parents, they don't have the ability or they feel they don't have the ability to even express certain things like that. So then they go on with their life having these innocent thoughts, but those innocent thoughts, they grow and they fester and they shape their beliefs, if that makes sense. Okay. So that was just a little quick little example, to kind of hopefully give you guys a better understanding of what I'm trying to say as far as when it comes to, our influences and things like that, and how we perceive things, our perception and everything, and how it truly does shape who we become as we get older. And one of the things that the media, governments and all that stuff, they do is they understand that logic. They are well aware of these things and they use it to their own advantage. They take the concepts that are meant to be like lessons or just, things to help us grow, and they pervert it in the way of to use it to maintain control or to control the narrative and things like that. So you have to be mindful, and that's why the challenge that I gave you guys is, really important for you guys to try to do, because it'll wake you up to some truths. You know what I mean? And the more truths you awake to, the closer you are to becoming your true, authentic self. And I would call it unlearning learned behaviors, pretty much, because that is like the key component to changing. People don't understand that the reason why a lot of things don't change has nothing necessarily to do with action or inaction or things like that. It solely has to do with normalized behaviors, whether they're known or unbeknownst to you, whether they're internalized, external, whatever the case, or they're ignored or avoided. These behaviors are the strongholds or the blockages that keep a person or a people or a collective from actually changing. You understand? So that's why I feel like, in order to conquer this thing that we call life, we have completely and totally have to get naked in the sense of everything you think you know or everything you are learning currently, like throw it all away. Like just get rid of it and unlearn your learned behaviors because people don't realize that a lot of the behaviors that like um, they tend to project are not even their own. They're literally learned behaviors. They're a product of their environment. They're a product of their exposure. They're a product of their circumstances or situations, and not necessarily who or what they are or what they're supposed to be in this life. Okay, so I hope I didn't go over your guys' head a little bit, but I hope you guys kind of understand exactly what I was trying to say. So that is going to be day one, episode one, Awake or Programmed, and let me know what you guys think. Okay.